And do you know you have autism? Is it something that a person would know if no one told you you had it? Would you know you have it?
It's varying degrees. There's some people that you can just tell by looking at them very clearly. Everyone can tell that they have autism because it's much more severe. And then there's some people that you might not know. You might think they were just a little off, a little different. I found out when I was 8, I was formally diagnosed.
You were diagnosed and they told you that you had it?
We knew that there was something different about me, but we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know why I was having all these issues.
What type of issues were you having before they told you what was going on?
Well, autism kind of comes with like a whole host of issues. It also usually comes with OCD, ADD, ADHD. And so I had kind of all of these things, trouble focusing in school, learning disabilities, and also trouble fitting in. I didn't fit in with my peers. Like, say we would all be at like a playground, right, when I was like 4 or 5 years old, and my mom would notice that I had no interest in the other kids. I was just off in the corner doing my own thing, and all the other kids kind of were socializing with each other, and she just knew something was off. And so it took many years of going to different doctors, different diagnoses, and before we could finally get something that explained all of the issues.
Do you know you didn't want to play with the kids? Do you remember that? That you would rather be by yourself?
What I knew is that I just wanted to obsess about what music was playing on the radio. That was my passion, pop music. And I knew that I cared way more about that than I did, you know, socializing with other kids. I was way more interested in hearing Casey Kasem's American Top 40 and knowing what was going to be '1 song that week so I could write it down.
I do want to say that Dylan worked for me. He interned for a while, and now he's employed by me. He's one of the producer of the TheFallenState TV. Just FYI. So
representing.
As an adult, do you feel like you're a person with autism? Is there things that you notice about you and that you notice in other people, adults, and it makes you feel weird or different?
Not as much as I used to. Like, the thing with having autism, it is something that in a large degree you can overcome. You can overcome a lot of the issues it causes. It'll always be there a little bit, but it can get like ever more minor and minor the more you work at it and the more kind of trial and error you go through. There are times when I'm reminded, oh crap, I still have this disability, but 99% of the time I'm not thinking about it. I just kind of see myself the way that the world sees me, which is just kind of, I try to see myself through the eyes of other people see me, which is not having a disability. And I just see myself as, I don't know, unique.
Do people treat you differently?
No, I kind of wish they did sometimes. But the thing with my particular situation is you can't really tell by looking at me or listening to me that I have anything wrong with me. That can be a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because obviously, you know, I can be treated as normal when I want to, but it's a curse because sometimes I screw up and people don't understand like that I have a deeper thing going on. They just think, oh, this kid's this kid's a dick or this kid's a douchebag or he's an idiot. And it might be easier sometimes if they actually knew I had a disability. So, but that's just the way the cookie crumbled for me. And
so when the people who don't know you have a disability and they treat you in a dirty way, or they make jokes about you in front of you, does that make you feel bad?
No, they don't do that. It's just when I screw up sometimes, or when I make mistakes that possibly other people wouldn't make, like bad errors in judgment. I'm trying to come up with a good example. So there was this fraternity that I was briefly in, and there were all kinds of legal troubles and drama going on. And they told me about this, but then I saw somebody who was like suing them at a rally. And I wasn't really thinking that and so I went up to him and I was like, hey, so I heard so-and-so said this about you. And I heard so-and-so said this, what's going on? And also there happened to be cameras, people were live streaming on YouTube. Now I didn't put 2 and 2 together that, oh, maybe I shouldn't say this because they told me there was this legal drama going on and they're like suing each other, so maybe I shouldn't tell them what I heard. And then as soon as I said it, as soon as it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh my God, I could have just like put somebody in legal jeopardy. I shouldn't have opened my mouth. I wasn't supposed to tell them that I heard them say this. That was something that they told me in confidentiality and they didn't want me repeating. So stuff like that. Now, most people might be able to avoid that kind of mistake, but me, I just have these errors in these blind spots. And a lot of times I'll figure out exactly what the mistake is right after I make it, but then it's too late.
It's too late. And so another thing I know about you is that when someone gives you instructions,
Yeah.
they have to be direct.
Right, yeah.
I want you to go down to the bridge and jump off.
Yeah.
Right? They can't say, I want you to go down to the bridge and figure out what side. They have to be direct. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you wouldn't do it the way they wanted it done, right?
Right, like gray instructions for me, that's like a hazard.
Right.
That's because I don't know, I'm just very black and white in terms of what you want me to do. And the thing is that most neurotypical people, they say, meaning people without a disability, they kind of speak this language to each other where they understand the nuance implied. So like they'll say this, but they know that this really means that. But for me, like, I don't want that open to interpretation. And most people with autism, I think, do much better with extremely clear instructions. And in the many jobs that I've had, I've learned that if you want advice, if you're an employer working with someone with autism, I tell people, however clear you think your instructions are, make them 10 times clearer.
Do you feel emotions the way that abnormal human beings feel, like up and down, sad, lonely, happy, insecure, or afraid? Do you feel different emotions?
Yeah, I do, but sometimes it can be hard for me to empathize with other people's emotions if I don't logically understand their point of view, or if it's something I've never experienced. Like my girlfriend right now is, well, something I probably shouldn't say too much, but I will say she's she's going through some drama with family members.
Yeah, don't say what it is.
Now, this is something, unfortunately, fortunately, I've never experienced anything like it. And so I'm trying to be there for her as much as I can, but I honestly can't really understand what that must be like.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Speaking of some of your experience, I read that you experienced, and this book is very, very interesting, people. You do want to read about autism, believe me. You've experienced a lot of failures. Has that been good for you or bad?
It's been mostly bad, but it's been good in the fact that it made a really interesting book.
That's for sure.
But going through it at the time, I would have not said it was good. I've been to jail in like 3 different states. Not like, 3 different states. I've been fired from almost 50, that's 50 different jobs.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You know, I was thinking about when I read your book that you've been fired from so many jobs, and I think you working for the TheFallenState probably the longest job you had. And I thought, I wonder why you've been able to stay with us for so long. And I think because I understand you. I understand where you're coming from.
You do seem to have a very gut level understanding, which is rare. It's hard to find somebody, even if you're not super educated on autism, you seem to just have an intuitive understanding. You know, sometimes you just get lucky and you find a boss who understands you. It's a good situation.
What was it like being in jail? What was it like for you? One thing I got to say, do you realize in writing that book that you were very, 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 very honest about yourself?
Oh, yeah.
You knew you were being asked that honest about yourself?
Well, what do you mean by that? Do you mean like compared to other autobios, are they not as honest?
Right.
So what are they like in other
They tell you a little bit about themselves, but they don't tell you the whole deal.
Okay.
You told the whole deal, which in a way is a good thing because it allows people to really get a good insight what autism is like.
Yeah.
What you go through.
Hear that, folks? BadChoicesMakeGoodStories.com. Jail, the first time, it was kind of fun. It was like a cool novelty, and I saw it as like, you know, it's a rite of passage. It's like the kind of thing everybody's got to do once, you know, just to say you did it. And the second time, the third time, however, not quite as fun. The novelty wore off.
Do people try to intimidate you and stuff in jail when Did people try to harass you in any way?
You know, it's funny, the third time I went to jail was in Maine, and I got into some drama with other white guys. They weren't so nice to me. The first time I went to jail was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and it was mostly black guys, and we got along great. They thought I was hilarious, no drama. Even if you read the story of me getting out of jail, my bond was $25. I'm in the bond office, and I thought I had $25 on me. Turns out my card only went through for $20. So they were about to send me back, and it would have been probably a week before I could bond out again. At the 11th hour, somebody who was in jail with me, he was right there, he stepped up and said, "Hey, was he $5 short? I'll give him $5. And he was a black guy. And so I would not have gotten out of jail if this black guy hadn't stepped up and saved my ass at the 11th hour.